Welcome, friends. It's me, Suze, the holistic stylist. In today's episode, we're flashing back to my series called Hair Emporium Unplugged. And this is a story out of the vaults of the heart, brain, and time. So, I'm going to tell you a little story today. And we're going to just hop over. It says, the true history was pre-written. This is not, well, yeah, it is. It's exactly a pre-written history. It is. And this is about the terrible things that go on and how they affect us through our lives. Okay.
Believe it or not, for me,
I'm going to share the screen.
as an A blood type, a cheeseburger was as poison as a honeydew melon. Or as poison as a
blood
cashew.
type would be another video. Ignore this part. Too hard to get the exact time.
I told him. I said, bad belly breakfast buddy. Ha ha. Definitely the thought that counts.
Oh.
And then he sends me this GIF that says, absolutely, like he knew that from the start. And this is all about used versus loved. Right.
Right. Let's move that along. We do not need to be focused there.
I'm just saying hi to him again. So,
okay, here we go.
I want some music, Adam. Should we go home and see what you put there? Oh, look, I could just go to my recommended list. Forget Me Never. That's a really good story to tell for Ricky, isn't it? You think of everything.
If I should go, forget me.
All right. So, the story of my friend Ricky, but I can't look at you while you're singing, so look. I'm going to go back to Facebook, and I'm not going to look at your face, but I'm going to listen to your voice. Or Elvis's, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. When I first opened the hair shop, y'all, you know, I was really young, right? And I've always been a mom to a lot of people. And at this time, I only had a couple girls that worked with me. And believe it or not, your wild-ass friend, I'm talking about me, I was pretty naive. I mean, in some really dopey ways. And the way I like to party is calm and mellow. I'm not, let's do a line of Coke or have some speed or take a handful of no-dos and, you know, get lit up, right? So, just like there's two ways of loving and two ways of partying. Oh, wait, there's many more than two, but you get what I'm saying, the duality of loving. Well, anyhow, the one girl that worked at the hair shop, she was a cokehead, and I didn't know. I mean, this was 80, probably 89, 90, 1990, you know. Is that right? Maybe it was 1989. She was so cute. And everybody thought she was hot, so it was a lot of males that she did their hair. Now, her boyfriend was the coke guy. And I didn't know that either, you know, my dumb ass don't know. But I was involved in my own life. And, you know, Chelsea was young. I had my first kid. I was busy being a mom. I was busy being a shop owner. And you know what? Sometimes I did go home to have lunch or hang out or watch soap. It's true. And I can't be there all the time to protect the girls. So the one day she was working all alone. Now you got her story. And her name was Kathy. Now, Ricky, my friend that just wants to text her some shit, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But we've always been very connected. Very connected. He was just 12, 13 years old, coming to the hair shop to get his hair done, right? He lived in the neighborhood behind the salon with his grandparents. He had lost both of his parents. They were both dead. And he was so beautiful. I mean, he reminds me a lot of the Four Faces of God analogy in Elvis's story. Just how attractive and beautiful. And his son looks just like him. It's like kicking out carbon copies. Very strong genes. But anyhow, he was just a young, he was getting ready to become a teenager. And he had rode his bike up to the hair shop, right? He was in there getting his hair cut when the fucking, badass coke dealer Carl came in to talk to his fucking bitch, right? And they were in a fight. So here's this kid, a fucking child, sitting in the chair at the hair shop, and he picks Kathy up. And he starts fucking yelling at her and calling her a bitch, and puts her to the ground and tells Ricky to get the fuck out and go home. Now, if this isn't bad enough, okay, so let's go to when this young man is 16 years old. There was this gal that worked with me, because, it's booth rental, self-employment. Her name was Reggie. And she came and she cut all the young boys' hair because she had a daughter who was in high school. And the daughter's name was Danielle. And she was very studious and very innocent. And she had a little brother named Dallas. Maybe some of you guys have seen the Hair Emporium Follies poster in my cosmetology museum. That was all about Reggie. Now, Reggie was smart. And I always like hanging out with people that have a lot of experience. And of course, when you're young, it's the older people. And, she was a little bit older, no big deal. And we partied together, and she loved my children like her own. Well, it was just Chelsea then. Right, it was just Chelsea. One day, I figured out why all the teenage boys went to this gal that couldn't get a haircut worth of shit. She had a thing for young boys. And she was giving them their first sexual experience. And her daughter didn't know that she was fucking all her friends, right? It was really, 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 really bad when she relapsed and started putting the coke up her nose again, because she had been clean, and you guys know the story. Well, anyhow, when she was clean, she had said to me one time, you know, if she ever relapses, that I would, you know, say something to her and wake her up and bring her back because, of course, you know, this is my best friend and all this shit. Now, here again, I was pretty naive. And the truth of this woman was that she was way big part of the mind control projects. And she was one of the young prostitutes that they had in the secretarial pool at McDonnell Douglas. Because, you know, it wasn't Boeing at the time. It was McDonnell Douglas here in St. Louis, like 5 minutes down the road. And, you know, she was young. She wasn't a prostitute that got hired. She was a secretary that they turned into a prostitute. So, here we've got a fucking grown-ass woman starting to make my stomach turn. Got a grown-ass woman up on these little boys. And Ricky knew the boys that were getting their services. Okay. So, this is crazy. Now, we moved to the Pearl Vision in 1991. Maybe you've seen them, like they're, you know, they're big eyeglasses stores. Well, they used to be back when they were in business. And they had these oval windows. And it was like a fishbowl. It was the coolest fucking hair shop going in Florissant, Missouri. Everybody knew the Hair Emporium. There was 15 bitches rocking hair. I was a platform educator. It is a tragedy for real. And so I had went out of town to do education. And when I got back in town, you know, Joe, we were always friends. And remember, he hung out at the hair shop. And he called me and he says, hey, I got to tell you what happened over the weekend. Well, what happened over the weekend was this bitch had been slinging cocaine and blowjobs out of the hair shop, and she was working out of the bathroom. And see, I had my private room in the back of the hair shop, and there was a tanning booth too. I mean, believe me, a redhead can get tan, believe it or not. So she was also using the waxing room, and you can imagine what she was doing in there because it had a flat bed and a sink and so on and so forth. All right, so Joe fills me in. And it's Halloween time. And I used to decorate the outside because, you know, it was right on 67, which is technically a highway. And so I was decorating with the hay and the scarecrow and all this stuff outdoors. And something happened inside. And when I went in, I could feel it. And I finally decided I had to have the courage to, you know, say to Reggie, you know, man, what's up? And she's like, what do you mean? And see, nobody told me the rule, just like nobody told y'all the truth about the internet. But see, here's the rule with a cokehead. You never say the word coke because they'll want to fucking kill you, right? I didn't know that. Well, you know, I said, you know, with the coke. And she pushed me and she said, bitch, you know, I'll fucking punch you. And I've never even been in a fight, you know, like a fist fight. I mean, I'm all about the love, like you guys know. Well, anyhow, she wound up leaving, and she made it her mission to terrorize me and target me. And so these little boys that she had in her grips, Ricky was the one that she went to, even though Ricky was not getting his services from her. He needed a better hairdresser, and he was also had some, I mean, girls were throwing him themselves at him. He was so beautiful. So he didn't need this old bitch to take care of his little boy needs, or his big man needs. So Reggie wanted Ricky to break the windows at the Hair Emporium. And he told her no. And he actually wrote a witness for me when the cops, whether they were fake or not, came in to search the Hair Emporium for drugs because they had reports. Well, see, Reggie had set that all up because Reggie was sucking the cop sticks too. Hazelwood and Florissant. And think about me. My dad's a cop. So, I said to these cops, I can't believe you're falling for this shit. I mean, I know about your code between one another. You don't do this. It's not right. So they went ahead and approved it for me to have a phone tap. And back in the day, you would have to you'd get a week, and you had to have over 100 calls. Well, what if you only get 98? So you know me, and I'll lure that bad person right into me, and I'll expose them just like I do online, right? So this is my first story of that. I knew I had my phone tap, and I got in my car, and I drove to a payphone. Now, I did this more than once, obviously, but you get the idea. I'd drive to a payphone, and I'd call that number. And so it wasn't like I was prank phone calling her or calling her any words. See, I was tying up her business. I would set that phone down, at the phone booth there in the metal and drive away. And it was awesome, man. I was so fucking slick. So anyhow, you see, she was coming after me one way or another. Now, I want to tell you about the Phalate warrior spirit. I wish he would have been there back then, because my ex, Tim, Pratt, trickster, mother's maiden name Collins, main nasty, dirty fucks up there doing the rituals and things in the church, right? He told me that, I better behave, because if I do anything to piss her off, she's going to come kick my ass. And I said to him, you know what? You can never predict what a crazy person is going to do. So if you just roll over and do nothing, sometimes they dig that, because they're fucking masochists and sadists. So they want that energy. You guys know they want that feed. We know this now. And of course, I refuse to roll over and I refuse to lay down. So see, my ex was telling me that I was fucked up for pursuing the matter, because he was a big pussy. He was really a good-looking man, though, and I slipped, I stumbled, I fell. I was young, He told me he couldn't get me pregnant because he had a big vein in his balls. And I know that that's ridiculous that I even believed it, but I really did like natural birth control, and I was working with the calendar and doing the alternative methods, and I got knocked up on day 10 is what happened. Then he told me to abort her. That's a whole other story that I've documented. We don't want to talk about Dopey too much. Some people think I shouldn't tell my personal stories like this. Well, anyhow, back to the fucking Reggie story. Now, when that week was up, I had like 175 threatening phone calls made to the Hair Emporium. So, when we went to court in Florissant, even as dirty and rotten as they might have been. Now, see, back then, one of the cops knew my dad. And so, I had a little more clout walking into court that day. But I was able to prove my case, and they put her on probation for 6 months and found her guilty for busting my windows out and threatening my life, and making calls to every 3-letter agency saying what a piece of fuck I was. So see, Melvie, and anybody else that doesn't realize who you're dealing with, I was through this long before I came online. And now you get why I have the background that I do. For those that want to know how I do what I do, I've just witnessed to it. Now, here's what happened that's really fucking funny. You're going to love this part. She was, you know, tricking out of the trailer park. And she got, I guess, she wanted to diversify herself. And she was working at a salon on Florissant Road, which is now called the Changing Image, right across from where we get ice cream. And see, she was hooking out of there, you know, sleeping out of there. I don't know the exact particulars, but the cops caught her. Now, at the same time, she had gotten caught stealing some really trivial shit from Deerbirds. And so now all of a sudden she had a record. This woman was so wise in her deceptions and so talented in her whoredom that she had kept it off paper till then. So your buddy Sue's, what I went through, got her on paper. And after all that happened, what I hear, you know, this is just the gossip, you know, hairdresser stories, that she went to St. Louis City and she became a manager of an apartment building and does the same thing to this day. That's my witness. Wow, what a trip. That was fun. Feels good. Lost my phone text, you name a number, so I have it in my phone. Let me just say hi. Hang on a second. Talk tomorrow. I'm live streaming on Facebook, you ding dong. Love you. Always. Sis. Fucking goofball. Ooh, Adam. I think it's time to have some music. It's 11:30. Maybe we can have a concert to midnight and bring in the day together, right? I want to see what we're looking at. You know, I was all into my witness. What? Okay, we're in this one, right? Hey, I'm not messing with that right now. Let's just go right over here. That was wild. What are we watching? I've never been there. They got 586 people there. That was Vernon Presley's message. Let's see what this channel's about. And that, my friends, is a story for another time. What is that channel about? I bet you guys asked that about me as well, but like I've explained, I'm pretty multidimensional, and the Emporium was always a word to me that personified what I was going for, a very eclectic, unique, specialized, technical, heartfelt way of communicating and doing business. So if that's what you're looking for,
in your average run-of-the-mill hairdresser. I don't know what to say, except for peace, love, and light from the Big Yellow House on the Third Cosmic Ray in Ferguson, Missouri, where hairdressers are the most dangerous thing that you can do with your hands in the ghetto.